You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Now, I'm just doing this before the duck arrives because I don't know if he gets comfortable with all this stuff, but he's very good at what he does, but I don't want to get him out of his comfort zone and he thinks, I don't want to sit here and listen to all this. Anyhow, when he comes, this will be good. So what I wanted to do is, I can't believe, I didn't think I'd ever enjoy doing the podcast so much as I do. It's fantastic. We get tremendous accolades from people who try and round us up. They give us more publicity than we could ever hope for. I was on Media Watch because a dreadful little grub called Abramovich, obviously out promoting himself, alerted them, or they got alerted indirectly to that. So I was on Media Watch, and we thank them sincerely for giving You Cannot Be Serious the publicity it deserves. We are the most scrutinised podcast in the land. And people say, they advise us, all the media outlets advise people not to listen to us, but they listen to us faithfully and report every single thing that we do. We've so much so that I interviewed Seb Costello last week, and the Australian, a tremendous debt of gratitude to the Australian. A shout out to them. Thank you so much for promoting. You said that you will transcribe faithfully what was on the podcast, but they advise no one to listen to it. Well, do you realise how illogical and how stupid you are? The Australian, run by, seriously, charlatans and meretricious contributors. If you don't know what meretricious is, look it up. It means hookers. How could you possibly give us a backhanded compliment and then dissect what we say, which is absolutely accurate? It's extraordinary. So thank you so much to the Australian. So then they dissected the interview I did, the chat I had with Seb Costello. And they said, among other things, when I was, they said I made a pejorative, that wasn't their word, I don't think they, you want to listen to some of their commentators, political commentators, about what's going on overseas. I get sent all this stuff. I don't know if they still publish the Australian in a newspaper form, but apparently it's online still. I don't know if they still print a paper or you can buy it. But people send it to me and they said every single thing they said about the last election and Donald Trump is fabricated and a lie. If you just got to read it to see how inaccurate and how biased they are. So this is the people that we are hopefully being informed by, who are just nothing more than hacks. So this is how they portrayed an interview, a chat I did with Seb Costello. First of all, we were talking about, Seb was talking about Darren Hinch, who said he wanted to bring up something about drivers in Australia, the worst drivers. And I said, would they be Chinese? And the Australian has said that I denigrated or spoke pejoratively, that wasn't their word, of Asian drivers. Asia is not just China, there's 45 countries in Asia. I said Chinese drivers because, do you think I made it up? Because I read in either an RACV journal or a VACC journal or maybe an insurance company's pronouncement that the drivers that had the most accidents, particularly on the Great Ocean Road, were Chinese drivers. This is not being xenophobic. This is just stating a fact or stating something that I read. I didn't say it. How would I know that? And then I said, Seb said, have you ever driven in China? And I said, no. I said, but I have never been to the moon either, but I know it's there. What's that got to do with it? The Chinese drive on the different side of the road to us. They have different road rules. There's more cars. So, of course, when they come out here, they'd be a little confused if they're just renting cars. That's all that was about. I'd still stand by that because that's what the journal said. And then he said something about Michelle Obama. And Obama, he said, do you like Obama? I said, no, he's a fraud. He's a crook. That's my opinion. They belt Donald Trump about being a fraud and a crook. Let me tell you why I said that about Obama. Obama, he spied on the Trump campaign in 2016 illegally. He tapped a bloke called Carter Page's phone illegally. He was part of the Fast and Furious saga about giving guns to the Mexicans who turned them on American troops and shot them with their own weapons. This is Obama. He lied about the Ukraine conversation with Zelensky, which saw the first impeachment of Donald Trump. They never report all this because it doesn't suit their narrative. I don't know if you know what the FISA court is. It's the FISA is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, where you spy on people that are your enemies. And Obama used it to spy on the enemies, which were his political adversaries, Donald Trump. That's FISA, which led to the Russia hoax about Trump being in cahoots with Putin for the election in 2016. All lies, all proven lies. This is the great Barack Hussein Obama. And then someone said, Seb said about his wife, I said, well, she's not a bad bloke. The general overwhelming opinion, tongue-in-cheek, of Michelle Obama is that she's a bloke. And that's tongue-in-cheek because she's a big, bawdy, brawny woman. The jury's still out on that by a lot of people, so it's just a throwaway line, as if I was just repeating what most of America think. So, there we are. That's just thank you so much to all those people who round us up. We really appreciate it. You can't buy this sort of publicity, and I'll tell you why people round us up, because we tell you things that the overwhelming majority of people in this country believe and subscribe to, and are not blindfolded and puffed up and have a rod jammed up your bottom by people who have a vested interest. Who are these people that write all these things? They're nothing more than little dribblers. They're little silverfish who sit behind word processors. They do nothing else. They draw a salary and they think, oh, aren't we clever? We've given someone a belting. Most of the people I speak to, they give a belting to. And it's fantastic. So once again, Media Watch, but run by genuinely people with low IQ, just people with lower slobbering suck-ups. That's who they are. And also the Australian. Thank you so much. I hope you can report on the next thing we do. Maybe we'll give you something to report on this week. And you keep telling people not to listen to us. All you're doing is enhancing our audience. We've never had more people listen to last week's podcast, ever. And the one before, when Media Watch did it, that was the second highest. So go for your life. We really here he is. He's just walked in, the duck. Now the duck rang and said he's just tied up with the little home duties. He's got one of his 7 kids who have got... here. Welcome. Sit down. Welcome. What do you want?
A tissue, Sam.
A tissue. See if you can speak into the microphone at some stage, will you, Duck? Hello.
Not good for TV, this, is it?
Yes. No, how are you?
Good. Now, what have you been on a rant, have you?
It's a backhanded compliment. It's a backhanded compliment to us, not to you people. You don't say many controversial things. I only interviewed a bloke called Seb Costello, and they went absolutely apeshit over the interview, and they said, don't listen to it, and repeated every single thing we said about it. It's extraordinary. The logic, do they realise how what absolutely dishonest actors they are? But that's good. Now,
yes, so other than all of that, how's your week been?
That's been...
I drove past you guys the other day, and you weren't driving, obviously, because you're still in a moon boot. Geez, what are you still in a moon boot for?
Well, because I don't know if you're a medical man, but the doctor said stay in it until he sees me again, which is
when?
Tomorrow.
Oh, that's good,
I
because
was
surely you're out of the moon boot by now.
Well, I'll be guided. Thank you, Dr. Carey. So go ahead.
No, I drove past you. I didn't realise Sue had a muscle car. She's got the big GT. What is it? The GT Mustang.
Black.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah,
I saw it the other day. You were sitting out the front of your. You were sitting out the front of your little.
I got that.
You're sitting on the step, and you got up, and you were grumpy, and
I was grumpy. You could tell I was grumpy, could you?
Yeah, actually, you know what? Very good. I couldn't. You just.
That's right.
You just had a.
You sound like you're from the Australian. That's what they'd say. I was grumpy.
You looked like. Anyway, you didn't look.
No, I got that Mustang from
Sue might have been 5 minutes late or something.
Rusty French Racing. That car. That is a beautiful car. Mustang,
Yeah,
do you like the number plates? Did you?
I didn't notice the number plates, but what I did do, because I saw you getting into it, and I quickly sort of poked my head around the corner to see who the driver was.
She looks good.
And then she does. It suits her.
It does.
It suits her.
Just see, she looks.
And she sticks to the limit in that, does she?
She looks below the wheel. She looks through the wheel.
Can I be honest with you? I mean, it just, you know, certain cars suit certain people. It probably just because Sue's petite and, you know, it just doesn't.
You want to see her drive the Lamborghini?
Yeah, see, the Lamborghini I think would probably suit her more than a GT.
When I'm in
Is it a V8?
The Lamborghini?
No, the GT?
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
When Sue drives the Lamborghini and I'm sitting beside her, people drive up because they like to look at the car, and then they see Sue driving it, they go forwards, they stop, they drift down, they brake and come behind it, they take photographs of it. You think it's being piloted on its own, you can't see her.
And that's not to say you can't be petite and drive a muscle car. It's just what I'm saying is certain cars suit. Like I probably suit a... I don't know.
What do you suit? A big one that rams through belts through the traffic.
Well, you know, the way you drive, let's be honest. And by the way, I've got a lot of people, but it's a well-known fact, you'd probably be a Volvo driver. That's probably what I think comes to mind straight away.
Is it what
and in saying that, Volvo's changed their whole
image
mantra, I reckon, in the last 10 or so years.
Oh.
I had a good Rob Barber, who owned Volvo in Brighton, actually, who had Brighton
did he?
Outlet.
Rob?
He tried to get me into it. I nearly got into a Volvo many years ago.
Couldn't stand the scrutiny?
I
Saying,
just didn't
look
think it
at
suited.
silly Wayne Carey's driving a Volvo.
Yeah, it didn't probably suit
Didn't
me.
suit you?
No. No, a mate of mine's got a Ram. Actually, MG Plasterers in Mount Gambier. He's got.
How often do you mention them?
No, he's got. Matty. He's got the big Ram, the big V8.
Yeah.
You know, muscled up.
Yeah, I know what a Ram is.
And mate, you wouldn't. Well, the way you wouldn't be able to get into one.
Why not?
Well, you still got the moon boot on. I saw you struggling to get off the step the other day.
Oh, pardon me. I don't know if you've had an ankle replacement and you've had to walk around in a boot for 3 months. It can make you unsteady if you're not.
I've had a few injuries, but
have you?
Probably I'm not.
Would you like to go through the injuries you've had?
No,
you wouldn't.
No, we don't want to bore people.
What? We don't want to bore people any more than we are now.
You've clearly had more injuries than me.
No, not clearly.
You're older. You're
just for the sake of the 30 seconds we're going to do this. Start at the bottom of your body.
Yeah.
What's happened to your feet?
I've had enough. I've had ankle injuries.
You had broken your toes?
I've had ankle injuries.
Have you broken your toes?
I think I've had. Yeah.
You're not sure. Have you broken your ankle?
I don't know whether it's been broken.
Have you broken your leg?
No, I haven't broken.
Have you? Hang on. Have you had an inguinal hernia from?
I have actually.
Right, good. No, that's one thing that you've got that I've had.
Pubis.
Yeah. Have you broken your ribs ever?
I don't know whether they.
No, you haven't broken your ribs.
Hang on, Sam,
have you broken your arm?
Sam, how many of?
Hang on.
Have you broken your ribs?
Yes. Or has someone broken them in the football field for you?
I've weed blood many a time.
No, that's your kidneys.
Have you lost what protects your kidneys?
Have you lost a kidney playing football?
No.
No, you haven't. Have you broken your wrist?
I've hurt my wrist.
Have you broken it?
I don't know whether they've been broken. I
I'm
I've
just
hurt
telling
all
you.
of the areas you've
Oh,
said.
you've hurt them.
I don't know whether the ribs have been broken, but I've certainly
you
had
don't. You'll know if your
badly
ribs
hurt
are broken
ribs.
because you can't breathe.
Yeah,
have you broken your fingers or
Yeah.
your thumb or
Yes,
your arm?
yes, I've had operations.
Have you had a
on all of
shoulder
those.
replaced?
Yes,
I know
yes,
that.
yes. And
Have you had your jaw
reconstructions.
broken?
No, I don't think I've had.
Have you had your nose broken?
Yes, I reckon I have had my nose.
Have you had a
broken.
detached retina fixed in your eye because someone punched it? Have you?
Hang on, was this footy field or was this off field?
No.
this-
It's a good point, but it was. This is all on the football field. I haven't mentioned the time I've been run over by a loved one. I have let that go.
You can't say a loved one if they've run
Well,
over you.
yeah, I use it with the air quotes. So you reckon you've had some injuries,
you've
do
had
you?
more than me. Look, Sam,
Have I?
I've had broken ribs. I've had bruised ribs. I've had
Bruised?
broken ribs. I tell you what, this might be there might be something in this. When my mum was pregnant with me, she had to go back into hospital and she had to have some sort of calcium injections. And
Calcium?
Yeah, calcium. And I think that's stood me in good stead because I did a lot of dislocations, but for whatever reason, actual fractures of the bones, they should have called you Chalky.
There's nothing wrong with mine, but
Chalky.
if I had been, I missed 5 years of football through injury.
Well, you would have played 500
games.
Yeah, at least 400.
That's right. If I was playing today, I would have played 1,000 games today. I'd still be playing. Seriously, because it's a non-contact sport.
So you're a chalky. Chalky.
Yeah.
Chalky bones.
I'd like to see your mum trying to squeeze your head out of a groin. That would have been the hardest part, just get that huge head out.
I didn't break a lot of bones. I didn't have a lot
that's
of,
right.
I've had a lot of injuries, but
Yeah, no,
I need a neck operation
You've had
at the moment.
superficial injuries.
Superficial. Give us.
Well, you said you bruised ribs.
I don't know.
Neil Baum gave me a shirt full of broken ribs at a centre bounce out at Waverley back in the 70s.
By the sounds of it, though, like just a little side bump would have given you a broken bone. By the sounds of things.
By the sounds of things.
Well, you've broken every bone in your body by the sounds of it.
I've had every bone in my body broken by playing this game that we
I
call
played
AFL
the game
football.
too.
What?
I played the game too.
That's right.
In a
You
fairly
played
physical
on
position.
half an oval where no one was allowed to come down near you.
Please, don't believe in myths. You don't want...
Wasn't that called Pagan's paddock?
Yeah, it worked for a week.
A week? Well, there's a myth.
week.
You've cleared the myth up.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that you played on half a ground on your own for 10 years.
Go back and see where the ruckman stood, see where the two half-back flankers stood.
Wayne, if you think I'm debasing your
I'm just
your
saying.
career, you are.
No. It never.
Quite rightly should be one of the legends.
Pagan's paddock was a bit of a myth, as in not a myth. It was something that evolved. It wasn't organised as such. But then as soon as it worked a couple of times, it wasn't designed around me. To be honest, it was designed around Brett Allison, Winston Abraham.
Oh yeah, household names.
No, guys that had speed and run onto the footy. But anyway,
you were the Trojan horse.
The mantra was for me to compete, and then those guys run onto the
swoop
footy.
in and grab the
Just
crumbs.
take on 3 or 4. And
the peripheral players, not the king.
Now, I played golf. Listen,
Just about before I don't want to interrupt you.
Yep.
But I am just Smeetsy.
yes.
The man contacted me and he said, "Thank you so much for the shout out. Everyone at Ralph's Meats at the South Melbourne market are calling him Smeetsy." He said he was driving. He said he had to pull over. It was the most. He said he nearly pissed him. He said he nearly weed himself in the car. He said, Wayne calling me Smeetsy. So Ralph Smeets.
Ralph Smeets.
I reckon he'll give you something off a lamb chop or something off a tomahawk steak if you go down there.
The lamb chops these days, the little French cutlets. You know, when I was growing up.
They're like gold bars.
When I was growing up, Sam, and you grew up a long time before me, or maybe some would say we haven't grown up, and that you get those little, you get chops, and you have your mashed potato, you have your pumpkin, you have your peas, you have your carrot, all of that on the one plate, and that was your meal every night. You go and buy some chops now. It'd be $50 for one
I know.
plate.
I know.
It's very expensive
they are.
to eat healthy now.
Only a few of us who can afford them.
Do you agree that it's now more so back in when I was growing up, it was more expensive to eat takeaway? So all your takeaway food, whether it be McDonald's or Hungry, whatever it was expensive, which is why we never got it, right? So your fruit, your meat and your veg were obviously the cheapest way to do it, and we grew our own vegetables. We had our own vegetable patch, all that sort of stuff. But now it's the other way. It's cheaper to eat out, and that's why people are blowing up like mattresses.
Now, so I want you to mention about the golf club you're at, because then I want to mention something after
the Northern. You
went to the Northern.
We went to the Northern Golf Course, which is out off Pascoe Vale Road. I don't know whether you've ever played there.
Yes,
but
I have.
I'm not the best. I'm not the best golfer, right? I don't play a lot, but it was Ambrose, so it's good fun. I'm there with a few good mates. My nephew was there, who, by the way, has improved immensely. From a year ago, he was absolutely putrid. Now he actually hits a good ball. But I was the first shot of the day on the par 3, of which there was $50,000 hole in one. We got told $1 million, but somehow it came down to 50,000. So I'm up, sleeting rain, very uncomfortable. Haven't warmed up, as you know. You probably go out and warm up because you have chalky bones. You probably go out and warm up for an hour beforehand. Yep. I just went out straight up, whack, par 3. I was 6.5 foot from the hole, pin high, which was closest to pin for most of the day. So that's. And after that, I went to water.
Did you put the putt in?
No, we parred it. We missed the putt.
So you missed the putt. Yep. So 4 of you missed the putt from 6 feet.
Yes.
Yep.
Correct.
Do you reckon you could beat me at golf? Chalky bones and all.
Well.
Do you reckon?
Well, golf is a handicap game. So what's your handicap? Hey, 2.
Nah, 2. Bullshit. 15.
15. Okay. Well, mine's 64.
So the limit in men's golf is about 27.
Okay. Well, mine's 27.
Okay. So if I gave you a 17-shot start in a game of golf,
it'd be a close game.
I tell you what, Wayne. Besides taking you on a driving course with Steve from Drive Safe,
we're doing that.
Well, he wants to do it.
Well, hang on. I've got, as you know, I've got my diary here.
Let's go through the diary now on here. We'll do it. Yeah. Besides me belting you to leg on the driving test.
You failed that. You didn't stop at a stop sign, the most basic thing.
I'm talking about handling the car and controlling the car. Yep. I will take you down to the golf course I'm a member of, down at the National one day. Yep. And I don't know what you would like to bet, but I'll give you 17 shots down at the golf.
If you're that confident, give me more than that. Give me 30 shots.
I wouldn't give you 30.
Why not? Well, I don't even play. I hit off with a 7-iron.
Well, I'm not obviously a great golfer, or else I wouldn't be off 15. If I was any good, I'd be in single figures, so I'm not. But I would almost give you 30 shots.
Okay, give me 30 shots and we'll play.
Okay. Well, I would take you up on that. Okay. Because, you're a magnificent specimen-looking man, and I notice you've still got that wart on the side of your face. But you're a magnificent man, but you've got no long muscles. You're just all tight, twitchy muscles. You've got no rhythm or flow in you, man. You haven't. That's why you've never broken a bone in your body. So you go to Northern.
Yes, I went to Northern.
How did the day start off? Was there a...
Well, it was a sleeting... Oh, I know where you're going.
Well, go on.
There was a welcome to country.
At the Northern Golf Club?
At the Northern Golf Club, yes.
Seriously.
And I forget the gentleman's name that did it, but I had a chat to him after.
Uncle Arthur?
No.
Beryl?
No. So the day was for Cook and Dowsett Golf Day. It was, which is a great. They're a big plumbing organisation. Yeah. I think they're one of the biggest plumbers in Victoria.
Nothing to do with the plasterers from Mount Gambier.
No, MG Plasters.
Oh no, MG.
Cook and Dowsett. They put on a golf day every year, and. So the gentleman that did the Welcome to Country works for Cook and Dowsett, and I'll find out his name. Yes, he was.
He was. Could you tell that?
Well, Sam.
I mean, if someone said you're Indigenous, I could believe that.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
So
might be.
Well, you might, and there'd
Well, I
be
could be.
and
I've
there'd
never said anything, have
and
I?
there'd be nothing wrong with
I
that.
know, but I've never said anything.
I'd be
No,
delighted
I
if
know.
you were.
Yeah, well, I could be. Or I
So
might
what
be.
did he do? He said, "Welcome to the country we're
No,
playing
so
on."
he said no. So one of the key things that he said, Sam, which I'm not here to welcome you to a country that you already say. It was a different
Go on,
slant
what did
on the
he
welcome
say?
to country. I don't know. I didn't.
Well, you
to
said,
be honest,
so
I
he
didn't
got up
really,
and he said, "I'm not here to welcome to a country you're already in."
no, or you.
Then what did he say?
Then he just spoke about the area that we're in, and but to be honest,
Well, what was
it
the
a
point of
very
him
good,
doing
He's
it?
a good guy.
And I'm sure he's a good guy. They're all good guys.
Well, the point
this
of
is
it-
not
well,
we're not traducing the people who do it. We're wondering why they
do
get
it.
asked to do it in the first place.
Yeah. Well, you'd have
The
to
Melbourne
ask
City
him. I didn't
Council,
ask him that.
the previous
Come on,
administration.
let's not waste any more time on Welcome to Country. You know why? Because we've actually spent, I reckon, 15 podcasts on Welcome to Country.
No, you just said.
I know.
I was down at the Eastern Golf Club. We've got all the compasses
So to the
points.
Western.
I went to the Eastern Golf Club and I spoke there, and they didn't do a Welcome to Country, but that's fine. It's a very nice golf course. And here's a man came up to me and he asked me to ask you this. Because I had never thought about it. He said, "This is just moving along." This is what he asked me when we did question time. Oh, question! You want to hear some of the questions I get asked? I say, "Ask anything you like, please." So, and they do. But anyhow, he said the AFL have banned advertising, gambling around the ground.
The AFL, have they?
I don't think
Every ad you watch on every footy show is a gambling ad.
No, I was talking at the ground.
At the ground, okay.
Do they advertise betting agencies at the ground?
I haven't been to a game.
He told me
year.
this.
Yep.
And he said they've banned cigarette ads, and they banned alcohol ads at the ground, the signage around the ground. I don't know if that's right or not. He said this. He said, "Why are they allowed to advertise fast foods at the ground? Kentucky and McDonald's."
Yeah. Well,
and I
Kentucky's one of Collingwood's major sponsors.
And I said, "Well, where do you draw the line about what you can advertise and what you can't?" He said, "No, the point is that all those four things he's mentioned are addictive. Smoking is addictive, drinking alcohol is addictive, gambling is addictive, and eating fast foods are addictive. Anything else goes, because none of the other things they advertise are addictive." And I said, "That is actually a very, very good point, sir. I'll ask Wayne for his opinion."
My opinion is that the one thing I will say, watching all of those footy shows that are now on at the moment, and they repeat themselves.
I want to get on to one of those in a minute.
I noticed BT must have listened to us because he backed over the fact that they just repeat themselves, and made the news for it.
Everyone either listens to us or gets told what we
I
say.
will say-
the Australian Media Watch,
I will say that every ad during all of those shows and some of the people that are on those shows have been very anti gambling and very anti some of the other things that you mentioned, and whether it be alcohol and all of those
win some,
things.
lose more.
Yeah, all of that. Nearly every second ad is a gambling ad.
Yep.
Every second ad. Then the next ad is something to do with alcohol. The next ad, so that's where they derive
the
their
hypocrisy.
income
Of
from.
course
No,
they do.
100% it is.
It
so
is.
do I agree? Do I agree with it?
Now this is round the ground, at the ground.
I tell you what. Well, to think about it, Sam. During COVID, we weren't allowed to do anything active. We got locked up. We were allowed to go outside for an hour. We weren't allowed to catch up with friends. Not allowed to play golf, tennis, all those things that you separate. You're not generally
allowed
walking
to buy
next
alcohol.
but you're allowed to walk around Dan Murphy's with 300 people doing the same thing. That's quite, because you know why? Because they make money. People make money off.
Beside that,
alcohol.
the government
make
in
money
this
off alcohol.
state were the most corrupt, dishonest, incompetent people. You could drive your car down and hang on to the petrol pump that 8,000 people had held onto, but you couldn't walk within 6 feet of someone unless you had plastic gloves and a mask on.
No, it didn't make sense. So to answer your question, the fast food thing is an interesting one because all the clubs have a fast food.
Yep. Now, so this man
sponsor.
just said,
Kentucky, hungry. By the way, I like a good feed of Kentucky every now and then. I don't mind McMaccas. I don't mind Hungry Jacks. But you've got to eat all of those things. It's the same as having a drink. You've got to do it all in moderation.
What about smoking? You do that in moderation?
No, I've never smoked ever. But,
but his point
everything in moderation is okay, Sam.
Addictive things, and the hypocrisy of allowing some to be advertised and some not to be advertised is stark.
Everything in moderation.
Everything
in moderation is okay.
Why couldn't you smoke in moderation?
Well, I suppose you could.
Yeah, it's legal.
Eh? Yeah. It's legal, yeah. Yeah, so I suppose you could, as long as you're not... by the way, I don't encourage anyone to do it. I've never done it. But I do agree that smoking is obviously a banned commodity in terms of advertising, yet we do advertise these other things. It is a very good question. Not one that we can answer it and we can say that it's not consistent.
That's it. That's exactly right. So it's the hypocrisy of the hypocrite.
I was going to say hypocrisy, but I thought that you would then take claim to teaching me that word.
So hypocrisy. So we'll get on. So North Melbourne.
Yes, premiers.
So you were just a week early by writing them off. But
I didn't write them off.
No,
I just said if they couldn't beat the Bulldogs with that amount of players out, then they
close up,
pack up. Well, they're back now.
They might have. You might have stung them into action.
Well, might have. They were very good. I actually watched the second half, and they kicked 7 goals out of the centre clearance, Sam, which you'd like, and big Cherry got on top of the great Max Scorn and. What did you think, by the way, just on that? So well done to North Melbourne. They thoroughly...
I did watch Mr. Cherry.
About time that they showed promise on the talent that they've got in that team.
Yeah. And
now they have to back it up. Because, they play this week. They play Adelaide in Adelaide.
Do they?
So it's I think they do. I think it's in Adelaide. But anyway, they play Adelaide. And Adelaide are in red-hot form as well. So it's going to be a ripper. We'll find out just whether they got great confidence or whether that was a fluke and they got ahead of themselves. And when I say get ahead of themselves, they walked away with because I tell you what, one win is not going to get.
Well, they've had as many as Geelong.
Yeah, well, this year Geelong have had about 4,000 over the last 20 years.
I know. This year, no time like the present.
The last 5 years. So North Melbourne it would be great if they could string 2 wins together. Up against a quality opposition.
I watched Mr. Cherry do well out of the centre. I did.
Yep.
Since I come on this podcast with you, I try and I don't know a lot about the game. I just know that it's played in just a ridiculous fashion. I don't care what anyone says. It's exciting because the scores are close, but the way the game's played is just nonsensical.
Did you hear what Sam Mitchell said during the week?
He's going to get on to Sam Mitchell.
Yeah, did you hear what he said?
No.
Well, he spoke about the brand of footy that they play. So if you go and watch Hawthorn play, they play a great brand of footy. They don't just chip. They take the game on. They move the ball quickly. It's a brand of footy. But funnily enough, he said he'd listened to the AFL. He said, he said the AFL wanted a fast, exciting brand of footy. So that's what I wanted. That's what I thought I would give them. And that's what they're delivering. And guess what? Funnily enough, it stands up.
So here's another thing that people listen to us. I have been saying this for years. If at the moment you stop and start chipping the ball around, there's nothing wrong with chipping the ball around, but never stop running. Get the ball and move it on quickly. Doesn't matter. Don't bomb it down necessarily. Kick it to someone on a lead. Kick it to a pack. No one's game to kick it to a contest in case it rebounds. Once you stop and you let everyone reset, I don't know why that paradigm, which is a plan away, why that paradigm hasn't been taken up by every other coach who wants to break the mould and Sam Mitchell. Well, I think someone who was it said that he has become a very good coach.
He has.
I can't remember who said that.
Someone
just said that.
He's been exceptional.
Has he?
Everyone thought that, Hawthorn were in the doldrums for a time to come. All the experts, the start of last year, Sam, all the so-called experts were saying Hawthorn are done. And guess what? I think they might be premiership favourites right now. So
they might well be. Now, did you watch the Collingwood game? Who did they just beat?
Bulldogs.
The most disgraceful 4 decisions in the last 5 minutes of that game by the umpires. The most disgraceful. And I tell you, I don't care if Collingwood or the Footscray win.
Bulldog supporters not happy.
I'm not happy, and I don't give a stuff.
Yeah.
The most ridiculous one was deliberate out of bounds. One was seriously, and you think the game's got up for tourists. If you could say that that's fair. Why would you, if you let a game go for 90 minutes, why in the last 10 minutes of a game would you start being pedantic with all the bullshit?
I'll tell you what I want to join in on, just
Please. Like
everyone else. Everyone's had a say. I think Gary Lyon wrote an article. Who would you take, Sam Darcy or Nick Dacos? All right, so Nick Dacos has obviously played more games, already been All-Australian, all of those things. Sam Darcy just starting. He's had a few injuries. I want to join in. I want to join in just with an opinion on that.
Well, this is what we want, Wayne.
You take a good big man before a good little man every single day of the week, because good little men are like dime a dozen, whereas good big men come along not as often. And I think Sam Darcy is a generational player. As long as his body stays sound.
Oh, it doesn't get injured.
Yes.
Because he got chalky
as long
bones.
as he's not like you, Mr. Chalky. You still played 300.
Would have played 400.
Yeah, correct. And if
Hadn't been injured.
my auntie had, she would be my uncle.
Kevin Bartlett played 100 games more than me for exactly the same period of time.
Yeah, there you go. How many?
He missed 7 games through injury.
KB wasn't exactly putting himself in harm's way like Ruckman.
This is my point.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying Kevin wasn't putting himself, but my point is that. And I watched Sam Darcy.
He was too quick. He was too quick.
Do you know what Sam Darcy did why he stood out? He took, I think, 4 or 5 contested marks in a pack, which that's why our game has degenerated. No one ever does that. That's why people said, wow, that's fantastic. Yeah. People used to do that every other week in days gone by.
I'll tell you what is going to happen to him though. He's a big body, and after he did that, Sam, they just started to put a little bit of body work into him. They will have third man up, so he's going to get a lot more attention.
Yes.
So it is now so he's going to have to work through. He's going to have to work through those elements. But I'll tell you what he's got. So to answer the question, I would take Sam Darcy. As good as Nick Dacos is, and he might win the Brownlow, and he might be one of the greatest players the game's ever seen by the end of his career. Who knows? But what I will say is,
beside him being a dime a dozen,
I'm taking. Well, go through the
little blokes are a dime a dozen. It's a good rap for Nick.
They are. No, there are a lot of small. There are a lot of midfielders in the competition.
So it's a bit like Gary Ablett Senior and Gary Ablett Junior. Who would you have in your side?
Yeah, Senior. I would.
Because you need people like Junior to get the ball down to people like Senior so he can finish it off.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned about Sam Darcy having a lot of attention. This would get back to Pagan's paddock. Suddenly they got onto the fact that you were the focal and they had your opposition dripping off you, and then these little other men that you mentioned come in and finish it off. That's you were the Trojan horse.
Sam Darcy, like I said, if he stays sound, he's just going to be a super, super, super player for a long time.
And then Luke Beveridge. Tell me this. I think Brad Scott was re-signed for an extra 4 years. Was that right?
Yeah.
What would you do that for? No, no disparaging against.
I concur.
What in God's name would you sign someone up for 4 more years? One game into 2. Have they won a game yet?
I agree.
Did they win?
No.
They've lost the first 2 games and they weren't too good last year. What in God's name would you do that for?
Well, I agree.
So I noticed Luke Beveridge, they haven't signed him up,
no.
And he's uncertain. And I'll tell you where Luke Beveridge will go. He'll either go to Perth and coach one side over there, or he'll go and coach Tasmania.
You think?
That's
Ken Hinckley's out of a job as well, so he'll be at the end of this year. So the people are going to be chasing him. John Longmire might decide to come out of the retirement.
I'm glad you got on to Port Adelaide. The most I don't know why. So Warren Treadray got a bitch slap from Caroline Wilson about. The most how that person is still employed is beyond me. The nonsense that person speaks is extraordinary.
Which one? You mean
Wilson?
Oh, sorry. I'm saying the reason why I say which one, because they're obviously having a bit of a. I thought the way Warren responded was exceptional.
Have a listen to for a jaundiced, ill-considered, nonsensical statement by Wilson, who said, "Oh, you want to have a look at his social media posts? He's a Trump fan." I would say if you're a Trump fan, that would automatically catapult you into the top echelon of running something because it's a business.
But I know Treaders is a board member, okay?
Yeah.
So he's a board member at Port Adelaide. What I did find unusual, in my opinion,
Yes,
is why Caro, and by the way, I have respect for Caro.
do you?
Yeah, we've had our moments.
No, but just
We've had our moments. Yes, I do.
this is a genuine
Yes,
question.
I do. I have respect for Caro.
For what reason?
For what reason? I think, like all journalists, I think they've all had moments.
Gets a lot
I
of
think-
things wrong.
Yeah, so do, most of them do.
No, but
Most of them do. Most of them make stuff up. And
some of
anyway,
them-
we've had our moments. What I'm saying is I have respect for her. What I will say is this. I do find it a little bemusing why she would comment on Warren Tredrea, given he's just a board member and he's got his views outside of whatever. But
She
who
said
cared?
conspiracy
But who cared?
theories.
I just don't know why that would make its way to a football journalist's
Yes, 'cause
to a
she's
footy journal-
desperate.
No, but you know what I mean. I just thought
be
that
relevant.
was unusual because I don't think that it's a
She's
football topic.
irrelevant.
His views outside of football,
And
even
in-
though he's a board member, I just don't see
she
why
has
that should be
become
brought up.
irrelevant and insignificant.
Do you agree?
Yes,
That it shouldn't be.
Of
that shouldn't
course,
have
that's
come
the
up.
point. I'll bring it up. What?
I know.
In the
So-
overall scheme of
but
things,
but
who
in other,
gives a
but in other
fuck
inst-
about
but
it?
in other instances, Caro does. She's done some great reporting over the years.
Fair enough. Give me some.
Oh, I can't. I wouldn't
Well,
know
she
off the top of my head.
introduced the Essendon Football Club, so much so that she almost was responsible for people seriously going into a decline in that club. With no evidence at all they'd done wrong.
Yeah, but-
What about the Hawthorn-Collingwood racial thing with the coach of North
Yeah.
Melbourne and the coach of Brisbane?
Clarko and Pagan.
What about the stuff she did in Perth about won an award and then they took the award back from her and another person who got the award because it was inaccurate? How many chances? What about when she slagged the disabled people, mocked the disabled, saying people just go to laugh at them? What about that? I saw her say that on television. How does this person keep a job?
Yeah.
How does she?
Well, Sam, I think like all of us,
Give us
we've
something
we've
you think she's been good at.
Like all of us, we've all made mistakes. Her accuracy on certain events, her and I have come. We did Footy Classified. I was an original member on Footy Classified
Yes,
with
a
Karen.
very good member too.
And we often would before a show have a discussion around certain things,
Oh,
and
so
I challenged her on that show. And I don't know how many years. That's 25 years ago, or whatever. However,
So not
long
like
ago.
here. I don't want to know what you want to say. You used to rehearse things
So
before
no, it
Footy
wasn't.
Classified,
No, it wasn't.
did you?
No, it wasn't rehearsed.
Oh, but you
would
told her
clash
what you were going to
on
say.
Air, no. On air, we clashed numerous times. In saying that, I got to know Caro because I wrote for The Age for a while, and I got to know Caro.
Did you write for it, or did you have someone write it for you?
Oh no, I had a ghostwriter.
Did you? Did
Yeah.
you? Oh, so some of the words you
No,
wrote.
all my words.
Were
never,
they?
ever did I
Evolving
A word
and-
has been written, including when I was an author.
Did you ever use the word paradigm or?
I had Charlie Happel was my
Yes, very Charles Happel.
Yes, Charlie Happel. So when you write something, and I find the written word for whatever reason, because we can talk here and then sometimes it can go in one ear and out the other, but when it's written, I just feel it has more power.
Absolutely, Wayne.
Yeah.
Because
So for
no
me,
one knows the context in how you're speaking and the inference in your voice.
That's right.
But
whereas
when you
the
write
written
it,
word-
it's stark.
Yes,
It's there.
Correct. So which is why
If I say to you, Wayne,
Which is
God,
why-
you're a dickhead, Wayne, with a
Yes,
smile on my face,
that's
if
right.
you put that, you're a dickhead, Wayne,
Yes,
people
correct,
think,
spot
oh,
on.
that's
And the reason why I have a
abuse.
written diary is because when I write things, I don't forget them. But anyway, getting back to my point is when you write stuff down, right? When you write stuff,
just looking at your diary
when
now.
you're doing an article or you're writing a book, then it's very important that although you have someone helping you do that,
a ghostwriter.
it's very important that the words that if they put words in your mouth, so to speak, or they use words that you wouldn't use, then you can't put them on paper. It's got to be
won't look credible.
authentic.
Yes.
So in saying that, I was always everything that I've written was my. But getting back to Caro, I don't know how we got onto that.
You said
She's got
things that were good.
Caro, like every journalist, every single journalist I've ever met in football, and every footballer I've ever met in football has made mistakes.
Yes,
there's not one that hasn't.
No.
Right, there's not one journo that hasn't got it wrong. There's not one journo, there's not too many journos that hasn't made stuff up either, or guessed.
I rest my case.
One of the big things that is my big bugbear, Sam.
What
is my big bugbear?
Oh yes,
is when people try to explain what someone else is thinking. Like I watch these ex-players, right? Yes. And you know who's and I still think he's one of the greatest, and that is, and he doesn't get enough airtime anymore, as the great Lee Matthews, is because when he gets asked a question, if he doesn't know the answer, or he's guessing, or he's trying to explain how someone else is feeling, he says, well, I can't sit here and say what he was thinking or how he was feeling, because I don't know. But my view on what actually occurred, you have a view on that, but don't. Yet I just watch these people that constantly saying, oh, he was thinking that.
Right.
It's like they're trying to say, why did Harley Reid give the bird to the crowd? And everyone's going, I can tell you right now, he's frustrated. But hang on, he might have, like they guess, and you know what, it might well be that he's frustrated.
Lee Matthews, I don't know why he does.
No, he would. Well, we don't know why he gave the bird to the crowd. I have a fair idea. They were probably yelling out to him all sorts of stuff.
That's right.
Go and get stuffed.
Or words to that effect.
That's probably why.
Words to that effect.
Yeah. So it's a bit of my bugbear when people try to, read people's minds.
Second guess what they're saying.
Yes.
So you're saying...
Or read how they're feeling.
So you're saying...
So I look at you now and I go, oh, Sam's happy. You might be sad. I don't know.
That's got nothing to do with what you were talking about.
I thought I'd change tact.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. I've got some other questions to ask you. But as I say, we think the concentration span of the people we speak to is about 3/4.
And sorry for coughing and stuff during this. So the kids have still got a cough and a cold, and didn't help playing golf in the rain the other day.
All right. Thank you, Wayne.